Welcome to a new year, a new Monday, a new week. 2023, I hope, has gotten off to a fantastic start for you all. Tonight, we are talking about a topic that is near and dear to most of your hearts right now, as January 1st, first week of a new year, is typically the time when everybody is trying to get back on track after the holidays. So tonight we're talking about getting back on track. What does that look like? What does that even mean? And how are we going to do it and be successful this time? So I'm going to give you my top pro tips. I'm actually going to give you a 5-step plan for getting back on track, getting your mind right, getting your ducks in a row, getting organized, and making a plan for success. So first, I'm going to make sure that we are able to stream live into the group. And I'll hang out and wait for some folks to join and open up the chat. That should do it. Usually I have a few folks join me here on the Zoom. I think everybody's still on vacation. At least it was evident to me going out and about in town today and seeing that the roads were crazy because everybody was out and about. Oh, I've got somebody coming on. Yay. I won't be totally alone. All right, we are now streaming to the group. Got Patty here with me on the Zoom. And we will see. Let me make sure I can check the comments in the group. Cool, awesome. I got Maria tuning in over there. Yay. Hi. Hi, Jill. Happy New Year. Yay, it's so much more fun when it's a party. Hey, Erica. Woo-hoo. Monday Night Live. All right, ladies. I think I want to pop up. I'll do it on my phone so I can continue to watch. Hey, Jennifer. Glad to have you here. Jet setter. All right, I want to pull up the comments because there were some really great comments in the group in response to the question I asked the other day. Because as you know, when I do these master classes, my favorite thing to do at the beginning is to define our terms. So I asked you all, question for discussion: when you use the terms get back on track, going off track, off plan, off the wagon, off the rails, whatever, off the whatever, what do they mean to you? So when you say I've been off track or you need to get back on track, what does that look like for you specifically? Paint me a picture. Okay, so here's some of the cool comments I got. Off track to me is sitting in the couch eating Reese's and junk and not exercising. Not watching my macros strictly. Also grabbing diet soda. Eating haphazardly and picking at things instead of meals. Eating rubbish, no tracking, so I lose all sense of what I'm eating. Letting myself get hungry because I feel bad about my last binge, only to binge again because I haven't eaten properly. Skipping the gym and not being at all active. Feeling bloated, miserable, and tearful. Not drinking water. Too worried to get on the scales because I know it's going to upset me. and make me eat more. No meal planning, tempting foods I have issues with in the house, unorganized and chaotic physically and mentally. Not eating or exercising according to what I had planned. Not staying consistent with my workouts and healthy eating, up and down like a roller coaster. Eating all the carbs, drinking all the wine, and not following my macros over Christmas break. Oh, and skipping workouts to participate in said activities. Having a chocolate, which was not on my plan, so now I'll eat everything in sight. Binge like a crazy ass and then get back on when I get low enough. These are all of some of the descriptions of what you all have shared is what off track looks like to you. And my apologies for that car honking outside. Good times. I hope somebody gets control of their car so we don't have to listen to that throughout the entire masterclass. And if need be, we'll go with the headphones. Hopefully it's not coming in for you the way it's coming in for me. I think I'll just go ahead and put on the headphones. Don't know if that'll actually help, but we'll see. Okay, hope y'all can hear me okay with the headphones on. Give me a heads up if you can't, and I will fix it if I need to. Oh, it's a party. The gang's all here. Awesome. Okay. All right, so that was some of the off-track comments, and then Jill piped in as well with a good one here in the comments, losing focus of goals. Yep, that's a good one too. Okay, so those are all kind of the off-track. What on-track looks like, for those who answered that question, is back to weighing and planning meals. Proper human nutrition, animal products and produce, hydration, and movements that feel like exertion. On track, eating carnivore, nutrient-dense meals I really enjoy and feel satiated after, drinking my water to stay hydrated, sticking to my planned workout days, and keeping my steps up. Sleeping routine on point, tracking my macros so I can see that I'm eating enough and I can see all of the micronutrients I'm getting. 0 sugar, junk, and below 10 grams carbs is when I definitely feel my best. Meal planning so I have the next meals planned in advance. No binging or no yo-yo craziness. Eliminating distraction, making lists of goals, making a schedule to stick to, keeping it simple, hanging signs on the wall if it helps as reminders. Those are some of the on-track things. On-track is following my macros, doing my workouts, and staying away from sweets and wine. I feel so much better. On-track means following macros, adequate sleep, and following workouts. So you see a theme here. Y'all are not alone. Many of the same answers. Oh, yay, the honking has stopped on my end. So I'll take those off. Let me know if the audio is impacted anyway. Otherwise, I'll keep on rolling. So yeah, it's always really important to define our terms and define our language. I'm really big on language, right? The words that you use to describe things matter. They matter a lot. They matter to your subconscious mind. So as we're trying to make changes in our lives, this whole getting on track and being off track and getting back on track is all about the perception. It's all about what our mind is creating. And before I even dive into the 5 steps that I have for you about how to get back on track, let's talk a little bit about this concept of on track and off track. If we are, I just had this chat with one of my clients today, if we are talking about creating a life, a new body, a new level of health, a new quality of life, a new, basically the way that we live our lives being improved, then we don't have to think about our way of eating as a diet, as a short-term plan to reach a goal. So if on track for you is, and we're going to get into this in a minute within the 5 things, but if on track for you, if the purpose of being on track versus off track is for weight loss, primarily for weight loss because you want to lose weight, and I'm using weight loss specifically, and I'm being very strategic with my word choice here, weight loss, because if you're in this community, you're probably here because you want to change the shape of your body and not just the size. You want to change your body composition, you want to lose body fat, and you want to build muscle or shape, tone your body, right? We hear this all the time, I want to be toned. If you're here, you probably already understand that it's not about weight loss at any cost, it's about fat loss. If you're on a weight loss journey, it's generally for fat loss, not just to lose weight off your body. If so, we could just cut off a limb and then there you go. You're down 20 pounds or however much your arm weighs. But you're here to change your body's shape. So even in that regard, if the whole point of your track is for body composition or aesthetics, the way your body looks, you may find yourself going off track more and more often and then struggling to get back on because you're likely not connected to a deeper reason why this is important to you. So we'll get into that in a minute. But very important to define. So that's actually number 1 that I have for you tonight. Essentially, when we are off track, it simply means that we haven't been committed. We haven't been showing that we are committed to ourselves. We haven't been showing up the way we want to in our lives in some aspect. You could probably say you're off track with anything. You could say it, but you know what's interesting? We don't say that. We don't say that about anything else, do we? We don't say we're off track with our finances. Well, there I go. I've gone off track again. Now I got to get back on track. Like we're not every other month either saving for retirement or now we're not saving for retirement. We're not like putting money to savings and now we're not. We're not like investing our money and now we're not, and now we are again and now we're not. I hope, because that can be very dangerous if you're doing that with financial investments. But we don't use that terminology to talk about our financial life, our personal growth, our love life, our work life. We're not like, oh, I'm off track again. I didn't go to work this week. Now I gotta get back on track and get back to work. We might feel that way a little bit at the holidays when we have vacations from work, things of that nature. Now, entrepreneurs may have that. I know I feel that from time to time, but I don't call it that. I don't say I'm off track with my business. Now I'm on track with my business. Just something to kind of think about, ponder in your mind. Why do we use that term when we're talking about our health and fitness journey, but we don't use that term when we're talking about other aspects of our lives, when really it's the same concept. If you find yourself one day and your marriage, your romantic relationship is in the tubes and you're like, I don't know what happened. Oh, we've been off track. I've got to get back on track. Like you don't use that terminology. But typically, if something is wrong in a personal relationship, a friendship, a relationship with a parent, a child, your significant other, coworkers, it's pretty clear, typically, you just haven't been showing up. Now, sometimes we like to blame the other person, but hey, sometimes we also like to blame our circumstances for why we've been off track with our diet or not training the way we want to, not making our fitness a priority. We're making excuses. We're blaming the things outside of ourselves, which ultimately at the end of the day have zero bearing on what we do or we don't do. You can be in the most difficult of environments and still make solid choices, or you can be in the perfect environment and still find a way to go off track if you're not committed. So at the end of the day, what we're really talking about here is your level of commitment to an intention that you set. a goal that you set, something that you said you were going to do that now you're not doing. And this is for yourself, right? So first and foremost, before we even get into anything with getting back on track, we have to, the first two are really going to do this. First two steps I have for you tonight are going to help you do this. But we've got to understand where, actually it's probably the, top three. We have to understand why we haven't been committing. And then we have to figure out what we're trying to commit to and why it's important to us. So here we go. So number one, what I already asked you or encouraged you to do in the group, we've got to define the terms. You've got to define the track. Define for you specifically as you can. And you heard some really great examples of what some of the ladies shared in the group of what on track versus off track means for you. What does this do for your brain? It creates clear lines, clear boundaries. This is in, this is out. This is on the track, this is off the track. This is the path, and this is the road. This is the path through the woods, this is the path on the road. So clearly defining the lines and the boundaries, then you know exactly what you're committing to. And for a lot of people who struggle with constantly going off track, and I'm saying going on purpose, you're not falling off track. You cannot fall off track. We'll get into that in a minute about ownership and responsibility. But a lot of the time, the people who struggle the most have not created clear boundaries. It's kind of wishy-washy. It's kind of gray. It's blurred lines. It's this concept. Maybe the concept is keto. Maybe it's clean eating, whatever that means. Maybe it's macros. Macros are pretty damn clear lines. If you have macros you're trying to follow, there's nothing blurred about those lines. They're very clear. But a lot of the time, revisit that and ask yourself, okay, what is this track? How will I define this? How will I define that? And really, maybe let's just stop calling it the track altogether, because what is that doing when we say on track or off track? It's a way, I didn't even plan on talking about that. I'm touching on this in I think number 3 or number 4, but these things are just coming off the dome, y'all. It is a way of deflecting ownership. And I'm adding this, I'm going to add this in here. This is a really powerful exercise for you to do. And this could be in any area of your life, but it's analyzing the words that you're using, the language that you're using. I hear this a lot from clients getting on calls or even in the written check-ins. So if you are a client of mine or you have a coach at all that you're checking in with and you're doing written check-ins or you're on the phone, but particularly with the written check-ins, this is powerful because you can go back and read your own words in what you type to your coach. And if you don't have a coach, do this in a journal. Do your own written check-in each week. If you're joining my challenge, by the way, that's launching we start on Friday. If you see my posts, if you haven't seen my posts, and this is the first you're hearing about this, look for the posts about the Grace and Grind challenge in the group, or just tag me in a comment or just tag me, comment, post in the group or comment and ask me for the link and I'll send you the sign up link. It is exactly about this. It is about showing up for yourself, having that commitment level, driving that forward, taking action, creating new habits. Now I'm trying to remember why I brought that. Oh, the language. Getting clear on your language. And what I was going to say about joining the challenge is that you will have access to the type of questionnaire that I send to my clients every week. So with my clients, they get the questionnaire, they respond directly to me, and we can go back and forth personally in a private message all throughout the week, and then we dive deeper on our calls. This challenge is a group challenge, so everything will be handled in the group text, but you will get personal messages from me every week with the same questions that I ask my clients. And so for you, if you're in the challenge, you're going to get to answer those for yourself. So this is going to be a powerful thing for you to do with your own check-ins. Do not skip that. answer the questions, and then review what you said, what naturally came up for you. What I see a lot of is deflection. Language that is not strong ownership language. It is language that is deflecting the ownership elsewhere. Let's see, some really good examples. The biggest example, and this happens more in conversational speech than in written speech, but it is when you ask somebody, you know, how's it going, right? You committed to that diet, how's it going? Then you hear them say something like, oh, you know how you go to the fast food restaurant and then you decide and then you think and then you. But it's not about the other person, it's about you. So when you're speaking, if you find yourself using the word you a lot, that is your way of deflecting the ownership elsewhere. So practice saying I, me, my, instead of you, yours, you know. If you hear yourself saying, you know, that's you trying to get validation of something that you shared. You don't need validation. Everything that you share and everything that you feel is already valid. So own it. I went through the drive-through and I got the burger with the bun and the fries. Another way that I see this is, the you happens a lot with feelings. So you know how you think or you know how you feel, and then you take this action, right? So practice saying, well, I was feeling this way and I thought this thought, and then I took this action. That's what you did. Nobody else did it. It was you. So own it. I did this. Practice that. That alone can be a really powerful exercise to get you to take that ownership over what you're committing to. The other example is when clients use words like, oh, the carbs, there were some carbs in there. And then sometimes I like to poke, were there some carbs in there or did you eat some carbs? What happened? Some carbs got in there. Did they walk into your mouth by themselves? No. You chose it. You put them in your mouth. So own it. Say it. A lot of this is about simply taking that accountability, that responsibility, right? If your kids, if there's spilled milk on the floor and you come in and you say to them, what happened? And they say, the milk spilled, what would you say? Did the milk spill itself or did you spill the milk? And children, because they're learning, right, they're going to try to deflect and put that blame on someone else or something else, or just not take ownership. Or wasn't me. Somehow the milk must have fallen over without me doing anything. Well, we are adults. We're not children. So let's take ownership. Let's take responsibility for our actions. That wouldn't fly in the workplace, or at least you might get over with that once or twice, but it ain't going to last that long before you lose your job. So you are the CEO of your body. As I always say, you are the CEO of your health. You are the CEO of your journey. So you've got to hold the employee that is you accountable. All right, and I'm jumping the gun on this one. So number one was defining the track, getting clear on the terms. What are the lines and boundaries? What's in, what's out? When you are on track, what will that look like specifically? Get very clear. And if anything, as you're getting clear on this, if anything feels difficult to commit to, there's something to explore there. And this is going to come into number two, but there's something to explore. Why do I have resistance? Because what that is it's resistance to making the commitment. Oops, I clicked on something, sorry. So if you're you're getting clear on your boundaries, what's in and what's out, what's a part of what's on the track and what's off the track. You know what? I don't know if I'm still live in the group. I'm seeing like the old video. Sorry, I've gotten distracted because there's no comments in the group, and then I looked up and I saw the beginning of the video, and I think it may have no longer been live in the group. Either way, I'm still here on Zoom, so we'll just keep it rolling. But I'll double check and see if I need to like repost it in the group real quick. Yeah, it says I'm live now. Okay, cool. We're still on. Good, good. Okay. Don't worry, Tiffany, you haven't missed much. As usual, I ramble a bit. Okay, cool. I'm glad that okay, it's working. Yay. And I can see the comments again. Sorry for the digression. Yeah, so getting clear on the lines. So if you are writing down what's in and what's out, and something feels hard to commit to, there's something to dive a little deeper there about why you're having a hard time committing to that thing. Because if you don't address it on the front end, you will end up off track again later on down the road. So number 2 is probably the biggest, and it's probably really should be number 1, but sometimes to even get to number 2, we have to go through number 1. So we tend to be more, we always talk about being on our health and fitness journey, but that's very elusive. Like, what does that mean? That's why I'm saying we need to define it and get really, really clear on it. If you're struggling to define it, it's probably because you're having an issue with the commitment. So that's the big takeaway from number 1. So number 2, especially if you're having that trouble defining it and you notice that resistance to commitment coming up. And this may also, another trigger to this may be, you're looking into coaching, you talk to a coach, you get the pricing information, and now there's a lump in your throat because now you got to put the money down to commit. And now it's making you you're taking a pause. Not just because of the price tag, because yes, there could be financial obligations and things that you have to move around to make it happen. But if you're feeling something coming up and there's this resistance around it, and you can afford it, you can make it happen. Maybe it would be tight, but you can afford it. But you're having a hard time pulling the trigger now. Maybe even it's not that much of a commitment financially, but you're still having a hard time pulling the trigger. You got all the information you needed to get. But now it's like, you know what that is? That's resistance, because you are now confronted with somebody's going to hold me accountable to this. Somebody other than me is going to know about this. I'm paying that person. And you're probably going to have fears come up. What if I can't do it? So let's dive into that. Number 2, if you haven't guessed it by now, why are you doing this? Why is being on track important to you? So whatever that definition of on track was, for many of you here, it's keto, it's training of some sort, physical fitness of some sort. It might be macros that you're following. So it could be something even deeper than that. It could be carnivore, or it could be, I'm getting ready to commit to the lion diet. That is going to be a massive change for me, to take out my coffee and my protein desserts. And really all the variety of meats. So we'll get to that later, but major commitments, right? So first define, what are you trying to commit to and struggling to commit to? And then why is that important to you? What is your purpose for committing to the parameters that you set for yourself? And that right there, my friends, that is the key. These are parameters you are setting for yourself. Remember that you're the one setting the lines, the boundaries, the rules, whatever you want to call them. So that means this is a choice. Why are you choosing this for yourself? If you continually struggle to do the thing you said you were going to do, why the heck are you doing it? Why have you not just given up by now? Why do you keep trying? Why bother? Probably been in that place where you felt, why am I bothering before? So answer that question. Why are you bothering? Yes, Leslie, I said the lion diet. Um, do you want to know more about what that is? Have you heard of it? For those of you who don't know what the lion diet is, it was coined by Michaela Peterson, if you haven't heard of her. And actually, I was going to bring her up on this call, just chatted with a client about her as well earlier, because we were talking about this concept of committing. And sometimes committing to a new way of life, a new way of eating, a healthier way of living, right? I'm not going to call her out, but I had a client just recently give up alcohol, and that has been a massive, massive, huge decision on her part. That has already done amazing things for her and is only going to improve her life further. I myself, I haven't had a drink since my last birthday, and my next birthday is in 43, 44 days. So it's been almost a year without a drink, and I don't miss it. Something like that, right? Giving up alcohol, letting go of your favorite foods, letting go of foods that you've been addicted to, the high sugar, high carb, convenient foods, snack foods, the junk that we know is junk that is not healthy. Making these changes is not easy. It's okay to acknowledge that it's not easy. I'm going to talk about that in a minute as well. And you may not always be doing it. When we're talking about our why, and Leslie, yes, I will give you some more deets on it, I promise. And I'm going to be talking a lot about that in the challenge, because that's why I put that challenge together. Okay. But when we're revisiting our why, sometimes our why is about our health. We are in a place where, oh my gosh, so many diabetes or prediabetes, heart disease, severe obesity. It is now limiting like your mobility. You can't move. You've got joint pain. You've got arthritis. You've got autoimmune conditions. Oh my gosh, psychological, mental health disorders. It could be purely something you're doing for your health that you are not excited about. You're not bought into 100%. You're not desiring to do to change your life, but you're doing it because you know you need to, because if you don't, you can see the stark future that awaits you if you continue going down the road you're going down. Can anybody relate to that? That they didn't join keto for fun. They didn't join keto. They didn't decide to go keto because they thought it would be enjoyable, that they would like that better than the carb life. They didn't decide to go carnivore just because they love meat. And this is why I bring up Michaela Peterson. Thank you, Celeste. She says 100. Yep. There's a lot of us that didn't choose this life because it interested us. We just thought it would be fun. We thought it would be enjoyable. We didn't choose this because this was going to be the most pleasurable way to live life. Now, some of us have discovered that it's a lot more pleasurable to do life this way after getting through that initial period of letting go of all those attachments. But yes, Leslie says, I gotcha. So giving up keto bars, snacks, definitely went keto for gut health after years of being vegetarian. Oh girl, yes, I can relate. It was the gut health that brought me here as well, way before body composition. So yeah, a lot of us came here for that purpose. And the crazy thing is, right, you come to keto for gut health, and then you're eating keto bars and snacks. Those things are going to wreck your gut health. So interesting, right? That was initially the reason, but yet within keto, you can get away with some things, but you're not really getting away with it. You're wrecking your health in the process. So that's why I bring it back to that initial thought, which is, are you doing this for fat loss? Are you doing this for weight loss? Are you doing this just for aesthetics, or are you doing this for a deeper reason? I know for me, whenever my commitment has waned and I come back, and I've had to do that many times, and I still do it today. I had some, if you want to call it off track eating over the holidays. I just call it eating things that I don't normally eat. because I don't like to use the terms on track and off track. But yeah, I had some indulgences that I don't normally eat. And yes, I felt it in my body and it was not comfortable. And I was present to that and very much looking forward to getting back to my norm. And that's all it ever has to be if we don't make it a bigger deal in our minds. So a huge part of getting back on track is not letting your mind run crazy with you about what all of this means about you. We'll get to that in a minute too, right? Talk about having forgiveness for yourself. But first and foremost, why is this important to you? Don't gloss over this because this is everything. This is everything. This is what's going to bring you back and what's going to restoke that commitment for you every single time. Whenever I go back and think back to the original reason why I landed in this lifestyle, it is because I had a lot of chronic health conditions that I was dealing with in my 20s. I'm in much better shape going into 40 than I ever was in my 20s. Not just physique, but my insides were a mess. And I would never go back to that life. Not only my physical insides, but my mentality, my psychology, my emotions. It's not worth it to me. So you've got to ask yourself that. Why am I doing this? Why am I choosing this? Reminding yourself that it's a choice. Write down everything you can think of. And if you've never done this 7 levels deep exercise, you can Google it, 7 levels deep. A questionnaire will come up and that'll help you get to your deepest level why. You start with number 1 and then you keep drilling down deeper, not wider. Not 7 reasons, 7 levels. But I won't go into that because I've gone into that many times before. But let me know if you want me to do a masterclass or a workshop specifically on 7 levels. And I can ask somebody, maybe one of my clients who's comfortable sharing, who doesn't mind being my guinea pig, then we could do that live for y'all on one of these masterclasses. That could be kind of fun. All right, so number 1 was define the terms, define on track versus off track. Number 2 is why. Why is it important to you? Ask yourself your why. Get very clear on that. Number 3, and this is a big one that most people skip. Explore why you went off track. Don't ignore it. Don't brush it under the rug or try to forget it or say, oh, I just got to move on. Now, what this doesn't mean is you're not beating yourself up over it. And if you follow me on YouTube, or if you don't, go subscribe to my YouTube channel under the same name as this group, Keto Bikini Secrets. I have a YouTube video on there about what to do after a binge, how to get back on track after a binge in particular. And one of the key steps I shared there is forgiveness, self-forgiveness. So you do have to forgive yourself for your past failings. And I use that word failings also with purpose because it was a failure. Oh my God, we're not supposed to use the term failure. Yeah, we need to be able to acknowledge when we're failing on things. You are not a failure just because you have failed at something. We have to desensitize ourselves to these words. Otherwise, you're just going to get triggered by it and you're not going to be able to look at it or go into it. So I call this, with the work I do with clients, is looking at the pain. We have to look at the pain. So one of the first exercises that I do with my clients is I ask them not only to create their future vision for where they want to go, their why essentially, but look at where they don't want to go. Look at the future that awaits them if they continue going down the path they're going down. So that off-track path. So dig into what was going through your mind when you made the decision to abandon the track. Because that is what happened, my friends. You didn't fall off the wagon. You didn't fall off track. You made a decision to abandon your plan. Recognize that this too was a choice. Take ownership over it. Forgive yourself for something that happened in the past that you can now not do anything about. Can't go back and change it. But do not let yourself off the hook for the choices you made. and recognize that failing does not make you a failure. You are only a failure if you don't get back up and try again. Somebody once said, somebody was the inspiring leader once said, there is no failure until death. Like you can kind of look back through your life and say, what would I regret if I died today? Because most people on their deathbed talk about their regrets, right? So what would you regret if you died today? Well, if you died today, you might be a failure for not doing those things, but you still have life to live. So do those things that you would regret if you don't do them before you die. And I don't mean like bucket list items. I mean like following through with your commitments, for example. Okay, so lean into the pain, hold yourself accountable just like you would your child who spilled the milk. What happened? Don't let them just walk away. What happened? How did the milk spill? See, that's that soft talk. That's that, how did the milk spill? We know the milk didn't spill. They spilled the milk, right? How did you spill the milk? Why did you choose to go off track? And if the first thought in your head is, I don't know, dig deeper. Don't let yourself off the hook. If your kid says, I don't know, you don't just stop there. Oh, okay. No. What happened? Don't let yourself off the hook until you have an explanation of what happened. You owe yourself that. An honest explanation about what happened. And try to dig into what were the things going through your head? What were the thoughts? Initial thought is always going to be, there were no thoughts. I was just mindlessly doing it. Bullshit. I can call bullshit because I've been there before. I've said I didn't have thoughts. I did have thoughts. Those thoughts were, oh, it's just one. Oh, you can start tomorrow. You earned it. You deserve it. You can afford it. Whatever those were, identify them. Don't let yourself off the hook. There were thoughts there. So figure out what those were. The more you take ownership for these things, the less likely you'll be to repeat the pattern, right? When you hold your child accountable for a bad behavior, and it's okay to say that these are bad behaviors, guys. That's the other thing. Cannot stand this new culture of there's no good or bad. Bullshit. If you are triggered by the terms good and bad, there's something for you to explore there. Why are you being triggered by that? I digress. But if you don't want to call them good and bad foods or good and bad behaviors, call it healthy and unhealthy foods, healthy and unhealthy behaviors, healthy and unhealthy choices. Because there are. I cannot stand this. There are no good or bad foods. Crap, that's crap. Okay. Sometimes I get really fired up on these calls. All right, so that's number 3. Explore why you went off track. Hold yourself accountable for it. Number 4, you cannot hope to be successful if you don't have a solid plan of action. So this is where you got to create your plan, your path forward. Prepare how you will be successful this time. So think ahead. What do I need to do? What do I need to put in place to make myself successful? If I want to work out, how many times a week do I want to work out? What time of day is it going to be? Do I have it plugged into my calendar? Do I have a reminder somewhere? Where am I going to work out? Do I have a home gym? Do I need to make it to the gym? Do I need to plug in travel time for that? What kind of workouts am I going to do? Have I picked a program to follow? Or am I just winging it, knowing that if I don't feel like it, I'm just not going to go? Am I likely to get hungry before my workout? Should I plan my meals so that I Eat within a proper time frame so I'm not starving before I go to the gym after work. Look at your day, schedule it in. Where are my meals going to fit in? If I want to have real meals and not snacks, how am I going to make that happen? What time do I need to do things? Do I need to build time into my schedule so I have time to have meals and not just be looking for a quick snack? Do I need to meal prep or food prep, as I like to call it, because we just cook some food to have food, but we don't make meals. That's the other thing. If you know that you're a person who's easily overwhelmed, maybe you don't need to worry about having perfect little Tupperware tins with all these different components. Just cook some meat in a crock pot. If you eat veggies, pick a veggie. It can be very simple. I think I actually put my food matrix meal planning guide template in the group, so you can search for it or look in the files of the group if you're on a PC, and you should be able to find that. It's a very simple meal planning matrix. You pick one from each column and boom, there's your plan for the week. Yeah, so create your solid plan of action, but this piece, that's 4A. 4B is even more important, and that is creating a plan B. What happens if something throws you off your game? What happens if your ritual, your daily routine is interrupted? What happens if your plan doesn't go to plan? Something throws you off. Now you're somewhere where you don't have access to your meal prep. What are you going to do? How are you still going to hit your macros? I shared on one of my previous masterclasses that if you were to look in my chronometer where I track my food, I don't think there's a single day this year that's not tracked. So the excuse of I can't track my food is never an excuse. You can always track your food, even if you have to estimate. I found a way. The difference between being on plan or on track or off track is nothing more than a commitment. When you're committing, you're saying, I'm finding a way, no matter what. So plan for plan B. Create a plan if plan A doesn't go to plan. Think of every situation that could possibly derail you, and then come up with solutions for every single one of them. How will you stay on track this time when you went off track before? Go back to number 3, exploring what caused you to go off track. Nothing causes you to go off track. You choose to go off track. So explore why you went off track. And for all of those thoughts that you identified that came up, that you listened to, because ultimately that's what made the decision for you, you listened to these voices in your head that were saying, oh, you can start tomorrow, or whatever it is. So come up with your rebuttals. The next time that thought comes up, what are you going to say back to it? Be prepared, like a debate. Like if you were going to go to the office and you just had a big, huge fallout argument with a coworker yesterday, tomorrow you have to go to the office and face them. And you know there's going to be a confrontation. You know, if that was a situation, you would have prepared ahead of time every single thing you could say to them. If they say this, I'm going to say that. If they say this, I'm going to say that. You're prepared to win that argument. So prepare yourself to win the argument in your brain every day. That's your way forward when you want to stay the course this time. Okay, let me see if there's any other comments in here. Ooh, Sarah says she bought a journal called Habit Tracker. Yes, I like that. Tracking habits is very powerful. Actually, it's one of, I believe is it somehow related to, I just started the High Performance Planner from Brendan Burchard, and I'm listening to the High Performance Habits book on Audible. And that is a part of that concept. Tracking in general is really, really key. What we do not measure, we cannot manage. Okay, so number 5. Number 5 is get support. It is difficult to walk this road alone, especially when you recognize, and I said I was going to dive into this deeper, that it is hard, and it's okay to acknowledge that it's hard. As a matter of fact, that whole piece about Plan B, about creating that plan B when things don't happen the way you want them to happen. That's what makes it hard. What makes it hard is you're number one, you're trying to change habits that have been ingrained over a long period of time. So they are on autopilot right now. The unhealthy habits are on autopilot. You've got to shift that to create the healthy habits being on autopilot. That takes effort. It's okay to acknowledge that it takes work. And part of having the plan B, part of being willing to look at what could go wrong is your acknowledgement that you are engaging in something that is difficult. A lot of the time we wait for motivation. New Year's is such a time of like, oh, I'm motivated to do this. I'm so excited. I'm going to crush it this time. And we're so high on these motivation endorphins that we don't think about anything getting in our way. Oh, nothing's going to get in my way this time. Well, something got in your way last time. So it would behoove you to revisit what got in your way before and make a plan for if that happens again. This is you acknowledging this is going to be difficult. I'm not somehow overnight, because the clock struck midnight and it's a new year. Now all of a sudden I'm a superhuman that's not going to struggle. We have to deal with the reality and the desire of where we want to go. Okay, so number 5, get support. Doing this alone can be difficult and lonely and more of a struggle than it needs to be. So join a community. You guys did that. You are here in my community, in my tribe. So I honor you there. But the fact that you're here doesn't mean anything if you're not engaging. So if you're struggling, there's probably a voice in your head that says, don't post in the group. Everybody else is doing so well. They're just going to judge you. You can't share your failings or your struggles when everybody else is sharing their wins. I promise you, there are almost 300 women in the group now. Hopefully we'll grow that even more this year. Exciting. Y'all, this time last year, I didn't even have this group. This was me stepping out of my comfort zone, doing something that was challenging and scary for me to build a community. And now look where we are. We're almost 300 strong. So I promise y'all, at any given time, probably at least half of the ladies in this group are struggling with the same thing you are, or have struggled with it in the past. And if you come into the community and you share it there, you can get support, encouragement, ideas. It's beautiful. I've seen more of that happening recently, even with y'all just asking each other for recipes or how do you handle this? Or, I love that because it's not just my voice. Now that we have a growing community and we're building it and it's vibrant, you all have been through a lot in your journeys as well. I've got some serious keto vets in this group. Been doing this for a long time. And I tell you, I still struggle. And I know it's okay, y'all. It is okay. It doesn't matter how many years you've been doing this. You don't ever have to feel like, oh, I should have gotten over this by now. Because it's life, y'all. It's just life. This is what happens. We ebb and flow in our lives. Look at all the aspects of life that we have. We have business or our career or our job. We have our romantic relationships, our marriage, our partnerships. We have our family life with our extended family, our children, our parents, our cousins, aunts, uncles. We have friends and social community. We have our finances. We have health and fitness, right? That's a lot of buckets. I used to have a really great therapist that I loved, that I worked with for years. And one of the things she really helped me with, because I tend to be a perfectionist like many of you, was imagining life as like this pie or this pizza, and it has all these sections. And it's okay when you decide you need to focus on one section for a little while. And that means that has to be the priority. And it's difficult to have multiple priorities at once. Somebody once said that priorities is not accurate. You can only have one priority. So sometimes, especially, oh my goodness, perfect example is like you have a newborn at home, you're a brand new mom, like the world stops so that you can take care of this precious new life. So recognizing that some other aspects of your life may not always be thriving and optimal while you focus on others. And for many of us, when we talk about getting back on track, it's because health and fitness have gone to the back burner. They've gone to the bottom of the to-do list. Let me ask y'all, if you have a laundry list, to-do list, does the bottom ever get done? Or do you just start from the top and then the bottom just moves over to the next list the next day? Most leadership coaches talk about to-do lists as a bad idea, and that instead you should just be putting a list of your top 3 priorities every day. The top 3 things that must get done that day, and forget about the rest. Or even the one thing. There's a great book called The One Thing, I think by Gary Keller. So focusing, I kind of digressed on that one, but focusing and recognizing that all this means is that it dropped down the priority list for a little bit. And it's okay. You can do something about it now. But something I want you to consider when you talk about, a lot of time we talk about our fitness journey like it's separate. It's a separate extra luxury item in our lives. The truth is, it is an absolute necessity. If we don't have our health, we have nothing. And all of those other plates we have spinning, all of the other pieces of the pie in our lives will go to shit if we don't take care of our health. So if your health keeps going to the bottom of the to-do list, ask yourself what you need to do to put it at number 1 and to keep it there. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself in a hospital bed and everyone you love is going to have to take care of you. And now all of those other things that seemed like priorities at the time over your health are going to pale in comparison. All right, so getting back to the getting support. You're in this community, use it. Show up, ask for help, engage with each other. And I pop in as much as I can to give as much guidance as I can for free in the group, so no excuses. And if you need more support than that, get a coach. Whether it's me or someone else, there's a lot of fantastic coaches in this space. Get a coach. A one-on-one coach is amazing, or join a group program. Join my challenge starting on Friday. It is very low ticket, $40 for 40 days. There's really no excuse to not join. You can comment under this masterclass and let me know if you need the link. I got you. It is all about, like I said, accountability and showing up for yourself. So join the challenge. There's a lot of other keto fitness, keto health, nutrition, and fitness people out there who are running their own challenges and have their own coaching groups and one-on-one coaching. There's so much out there for you. So get the support that you need. Tell a loved one, tell someone who lives in your home with you if you don't live alone, or if you do live alone, tell the person who you talk to the most often or you see the most often in your life. But tell someone who is seeing you on a more regular basis, because even if you have an online community, even if you have a coach, they don't live with you. They're not with you every day. Although for my clients, I am only a text away. But tell someone close to you who can help hold you accountable. And even if they're not the type that's gonna like, hey, what are you eating over there? You said you weren't gonna eat that. Just the simple fact that you know that they know can be a very powerful force in your day-to-day life. All right, if you need to make new friends, this is a great community to do that with. You might even find some ladies who live locally to you. We should do a thread. Maybe I can do I can post it, or somebody else if you want to post it. Let's do a thread of where are you located, and if anybody wants to try to find someone close to them, maybe you go to the gym together and strike up an in-person relationship. That would be powerful as well. Or even one of my clients, I don't know if she's still following the live. I know she hopped on at the beginning. She's been investigating ways that she can do virtual workouts with friends. YouTube has a capability. She's been looking into some other things, or just doing it on Zoom, but where they can actually be working out together even if they're not together. So I love that idea. Y'all have more ideas about this stuff than I do even. So drop it in the group. That's what the group is here for. I hope to see you in my challenge. Getting really excited. It's starting to fill up. We start on Friday, but I don't want you to think that you need to know everything to do and be all set up and everything by Friday. I'm starting it on a Friday for a couple of reasons. It's the 40-day countdown to my 40th birthday, and I'm doing the lion diet, which I told Leslie I would say more about. So before we hop off, I will say more about the lion diet, but also because Friday, we are starting on Friday, but I'm going to be able to give you resources Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So you can use that weekend to set yourself up for success moving forward. So it's not one of these challenges where I'm going to give you an exact diet plan to follow, an exact training plan to follow, and you have to do everything according to what I say. It's all about, I'm there to help you figure out the best way forward for you so that this lifestyle becomes a lifestyle for you, a sustainable long-term lifestyle, and that those results you create are results you get to keep because of the actions and the behaviors and the habits you've changed in life, not because you committed to some 40-day keto challenge. That's ultimately not really what this is. That's why I call it the grace and grind challenge. It's about finding the grace within the grind so you can do both and not grind and burn out and then give yourself grace and put on all the weight again and get all the health issues back again and have to go grind again and constantly be on that hamster wheel. Okay. Lion diet. Okay, so for those who are here just for the Getting Back on Track Masterclass, feel free to peace out because I've covered everything I'm going to cover on that. Just a quick recap. Number one, define on track versus off track for you. Define the parameters of what you're committing to. Number two, why is being on track important to you? Identify your why. Why are you choosing this life for yourself or this path or this commitment? Three, explore why you went off track before. Identify what was going on with you mentally, emotionally, in your environment. Take ownership over the choice of going off track. Four, create a solid plan of action moving forward, including a plan B for how you will encounter difficulty or obstacles. And number five, get support. All right, so that concludes the masterclass portion of the masterclass. Now, lion diet. And I'm going to do a whole YouTube video on this, so I'm not going to make this really long. But basically, the lion diet is meat. It's beef, salt, and water. It is the ultimate elimination diet. It is carnivore. It's like a 10x carnivore. Michaela Peterson, like I said, she's Jordan Peterson's daughter. She struggled with, oh my gosh, like every condition you can imagine. She was barely living. So she engaged in these elimination diets until she got down to only consuming beef, salt, and water. So that's where it came from. And there is a lion diet, the lion diet on YouTube where she has a bunch of videos about it. But yeah, basically I've been on this carnivore journey since last January. Carnivore, ketovore, with some indulgences here and there throughout the year, but I've never gone full lion diet. And I've never actually even ever given up my coffee. So it's going to be taking out all the extras and just making it beef, salt, and water for 40 days. I'm doing that as a countdown to my 40th birthday because I want to go into the next decade of my life in the best shape ever. Full optimize my health. There's some things I still want to optimize with my own health. And now that this is a building season, I do have macros to follow. I will still be following macros while I do it. But you know, I'm not in a deficit. I'm not trying to lose body fat right now. It's all about building. So I believe it'll support all of those goals as well, but particularly gut health, mental health, just optimizing everything really, energy, all that other stuff. Sarah, is ghee cooking fats included as well as tea? No, it is literally just beef, salt, and water. That's it. So everything will be from a cow. Probably I could use beef tallow for cooking. But I plan to just cook the beef and eat the beef and let that be it. I think I'm even going to go the route of, yeah, removing all seasonings except for salt, beef salt water. Boom, boom, boom. I may become a bone broth drinker in the morning, or a beef broth, beef stock drinker, because I may need something while it's still cold to replace my water. But we will talk a lot more about that in the coming weeks, because it will be a 40-day challenge for myself. This is not what I'm challenging you all to in the 40-day Grace and Grind challenge. But like I said, I will be helping you just identify for yourself what those challenges, what those specific challenges are going to look like for yourself. There's a checklist for each day and each week, but I am not prescribing the nutrition and training protocols. I will give you access to a training program that you can opt to use or not to use in the challenge. But I'm not prescribing you or telling you you need to be eating certain things or not eating certain things. I'm basically going to help you figure out what you want to challenge yourself with there. So more to come on that about the challenge. And then I think I have a couple of ideas for our next couple of master classes, but you're always free to make suggestions. So if you want to drop something in the group, do a post. I think I'm actually going to take off right now in the group. Posts have to be approved by me before they can go into the group. I think I'm actually going to take that off, because it's been just, it's been delaying your posts if I have to approve them all the time. And I want your posts. So far, this group has been really good. I don't think I have any trolls in here. And if I do, I will get rid of them quickly, I promise. So it's been a pretty genuine group. I'm not really too concerned about the comments, so I'm going to turn off that comment approval. So hopefully that will encourage you to post more often in the group, anything that comes to your mind. Other than that, that's all I have for you tonight. If nobody has any questions or comments. Oh yeah, Leanne says, I did a modified lion, could not do beef only. So pork, beef, chicken, salt, and water. Be careful with reintroductions. Yes, my plan is to be very strategic about the reintroductions. I'll probably go from lion to all ruminant meat, start putting in the other ruminant meat, particularly probably lamb will be the first thing I bring back in, and then start bringing in some other meats. I have some thoughts on what may go well and what may not go well, but we will see. I'll also be documenting my entire thing on YouTube at least once a week. I'd like to do more than that, but kind of like treat it like a diary thing. So keep you posted there. Thank you, ladies, for showing up. It's always so much more fun when we have a group in here. So I hope to see more of you on these. And then once the challenge starts, we'll have a whole separate call for the challenge as well. So Happy New Year again. Good luck getting back on track. If you're struggling with anything getting back on track, drop it in the group and let us support you. That's what we're here for. All right, ladies, have a wonderful evening and start to your new year.